All right. Yeah, I really like this snapping finger. Just a second. I'm still getting ready. Yeah. Yo, basically what is happening, I'm trying to think about where I want to go with this. I'm thinking about this now because I have a feeling, right? I mean, as a creator, you always observe what's happening. And at least from my perspective, it's not stagnating. So things are happening, and I've created a lot of stuff now, and I really wanted to think about where I want to go with this. And what was my intention? And yesterday was a great reminder because I have all kinds of facets, right? Sometimes we think we are angry. Sometimes we think we are loving. Sometimes we think we are, I don't know what, right? But the truth is always that whatever is happening in your life is basically your choice. You choose for it to be this way right now. So I can tell you, I'm really trying to be the best man that I can be. And sometimes, I'm trying to show that I'm a man by being really angry and really strong and really tough. And, sometimes I put up an act. It's true. Sometimes I show my vulnerable side. And sometimes I'm like, yo, what's going on? But the truth is I'm none of that, right? I'm not really that vulnerable. But if I talk with people who are vulnerable, I also show myself to be vulnerable. Why? Because I want people to open up about their own vulnerability. I want them to acknowledge, hey, I'm vulnerable and there's nothing bad about this. But sometimes you have people that just act like real pussies. Yeah, I can't really be like, you also have to learn that you have to toughen up once in a while. So I can't always be the same, right? I am the way that I feel like. And now I'm engaging with you through a camera, which is totally different than if I would stand right in front of you. Because I look at the people that I see and then I do what needs to happen to get them out of their comfort zone. I am the wind of change in a way. And I have been like this most of my life. And I have no need to apologize. If you are afraid of me or a little bit intimidated because what I say is good, man. Good. Because life should intimidate you a little bit. Nature should intimidate you a little bit. Have you ever been out in a storm? At night, alone in the forest? Well, I have been, right? And I survived it. It was a challenge. Without a flashlight, with no nothing. I've been hiking a lot. I went on hikes and I carried sometimes 30 kilograms of weight on these shoulders, these very shoulders. I know how it feels to pull a lot of weight. Yeah, I knew nothing when I started. I was 23 or something. And I went for my first hike on my own, like a real hike. It was a 4-day hike. And I packed my backpack and I had 30 kilos. It was hot when I did it. I was going to walk 80 kilometers roughly. It was in the Rhine Valley. And it was called the Sohnwaldsteig. A very nice hiking trail. And at first I wanted to do the whole thing barefoot because I had just started doing so. But I'm glad I brought shoes because that would have destroyed me. And I realized when I looked up if there was water along the trail, it said there's basically no water. And it said, well, what did it say? It said, yeah, there's basically no water, and it was very hot. So I thought, damn it, I have to bring all the water that I'm going to drink, I have to basically bring that. And so I packed 12, I packed 12 liters of water. I think it was 12. Or maybe it was 15. Something like this. Imagine how much weight that is. That's already 15. Let's stick with 15. I think it was 15. Because I had a 10-liter water sack, like a water bladder. And then I had two 1.5 water bottles. And then I still had a bit more. So I think it was 15 liters. Let's say it was 12, right? I don't have to boast. 12 liters of water. That's 12 kilo of weight only in water. Then I had a sleeping mattress that weighs more than a kilo. The one I had at the time. Then I had a sleeping bag that's 1.5 kilos. Then I had extra clothes. And then I had already 1 kilo of dried plums. And then I had 2 medium-sized gas canisters for 4 days. You realize I had no idea what I was doing, and that was in heat. You use way less gas for cooking when it's hot. You use more when it's cold, because why? Well, you have to heat things up more. But if it's 30 degrees, I only have to heat up the water 70 degrees so that it, boils. And I have to put in less energy to also keep it hot. Which means I don't have to use that much energy. And then I had a lot of nuts, bread, cheese. I think I even brought a chopping board. My cooker was fairly small. That was the smallest thing I brought. It was a 1-liter cooking pot where you could put everything inside. What else was there? Yeah, I had a lot of weight. In total, it was 30 kilos because I weighed myself. I first weighed myself and then I put on the backpack and I stepped on the scale and it was 30 kilos. And I went for that hike, and everything I had to rely on was my feeling. And the faith that they had put up enough signs, so I knew which signs to follow, and then I started walking. And I remember that the first, because now I had also this plan. I don't know why anymore. Maybe there was somewhere to be, or it doesn't matter, but I set myself a goal. And the goal was, I have, how many days was that? Yeah. A lot of energy comes out through your nose also, right? When you sneeze a lot, you have to start doing your energy work. to get it out, right? To get it out. You know, we talk about if you have the flu or symptoms of the flu, we say you're sick. I say I cleanse. So I assist my body with the cleansing, right? And I'm cleansing probably since I was born or shortly after. You know, that's when my body wanted to start cleansing. I just didn't know it because everybody always said I was sick. But what's actually sick is to always stop the cleansing process and to hammer yourself with all these toxic things that you think are healthy. No, that's the sick thing. The sick thing is to just sit around at home. You know, this morning I woke up and my feeling said, or it said, go hike. You know what? At the moment I don't hike. And that makes me sad, you know, there's a part of me that's crying at the moment. Because I've done my hiking. You know, I've hiked for many kilometers. That doesn't mean I will never hike again, but that means I've done a lot of hiking. And right now I want to do other things, because what I see is that, I mean, there's people out there who've never hiked, who've never gone for a hike, not with their parents, not with their friends. They don't know what it's like to be out in nature and only rely on yourself, right? To be out in nature without your phone. There's people these days that don't know what it's like. You know, whatever you've heard me say about my parents or family or my childhood doesn't matter. You know, the reason I say this is so that you have something to work with, because I've already worked with that. So, yeah, when you look at my content, read one of my books, you know, and you hear how I speak about my family, or, you know, sometimes I'm really angry about stuff, then what you have to realize is that I put this out there to let go of it. You know, I actually worked with that anger. So my goal is to overcome my anger, because if I don't overcome my anger, you know, I've tried wrestling with it. It's a bitch. You know, angry people are assholes. And it's going to choke you, right? Like men choke women in porn, and because boys and men, nah, that's not men, because boys, you know, some people are boys at the age of 50, right? So, you know, they see that and they think, oh, that's a good idea, I should try that. And then they start choking their wife. I mean, are you nuts, man? I mean, have you completely lost it? You should go for a hike, man, if you're that angry that you have to choke a woman, right? If you have to choke the mother of your child, because you think that's awesome. If you have to talk her into having anal sex, man, you should really go and hike a lot. Yeah, and if you have, you know, the guts, take off your shoes. Try hiking barefoot for a while. Let nature massage your feet. But don't be an idiot, right? Maybe wait for summer to start this. You know, don't go out when it's minus 20 degrees. You know, some people can do that. You know, I did that. Doesn't mean you have to do it. You know, I went hiking for 4 days alone with 30 kilos of weight. Of course, that got less and less while I was doing it. And on day 3, you know, the first day I started, I said, I'm only going to hike barefoot. And I wanted to do every day, I had to do 20 kilometers. I knew that. I wanted to do 20 kilometers every day so that, you know, at the end I could have done my 80 kilometers after 4 days. And then I planned I'm going to hike somewhere, and then I'm going to take the train, and then I'm going to go back, you know, easy as pie. Yeah, of course, you know, I was kind of shitting my pants. But it was a challenge. So I started hiking with 30 kilometers, and the first 10 kilometers was basically, I was starting at 0, at ground level. You know, I was living in Bingen. It's a small town along the Rhine, so it's, you know, at the height of the Rhine. It's like 0. And the first 10 kilometers bring you up to 600. it's quite a steep hike. You know, haven't done that much hiking. I hadn't done that much hiking at the time. And so I hiked up, and I realized pretty quickly it's getting really uncomfortable with 30 kilos on your back and no shoes. So I had brought some trainers, and I kept hiking and hiking, and the first day I only managed 15 or 10 kilometers, you know, I don't quite remember, but it certainly wasn't 20. And that already started to scare me because I knew that. And what I also knew was I can't continue. You know, I'm screwed. I have to sleep now. You know, so I just put out my things and I ate something. But ultimately it was my feeling that guided me, take a rest now. This is all you can do today. It was really heavy. I'm glad I brought all that water though, because there really was none. Until 3 days there was nothing, and I was hiking in 30 degrees Celsius. It was really hot. And all these things, right, it's like repellent against mosquitoes and ticks and stuff. I was really afraid of ticks at the time. Things really changed since then. I've worked on these things. Yeah, and so I kept hiking. And on the 3rd day, I couldn't really enjoy it anymore because I simply had to push through. I just had to keep hiking like this. I got a stick so that I could walk even faster, and my knees started to kill me. And at the end of day 3, I believe that was at the end of day 3. It's hard to say now because it's quite a while ago. Maybe I did that in 2013 or 14. So that's 10 years roughly. And on day 3, I found a river. And I was so glad. I crossed the river. As I remember it, I think there was a bridge. And I went down to the river, and the first thing I did was I stripped naked and I went for a swim. Oh man, that felt so good. And the thing I wanted to do the least, because now you're out in nature and you're maybe 60 kilometers away from where you started. So after you come out of the river, you kind of dry yourself, and then you have to go back in your smelly and sweaty clothes, and you have to put that backpack back on your shoulders. But now you've got bruises everywhere because the backpack, has a lot of weight. You're not used to this, It has a toll on the body. And so you're alone. There's nothing to do. You started, you have to go through with it. It's insane. But the challenge, that's what we need, right? To grow as people, as individuals. Yeah, and then I filled my water because the night before I had run out of water. And that made me so tense. That the food that I had made was actually, I just wanted to make pasta. And I couldn't get myself to get rid of the water, so I just ate it. I basically made soup, which is just a smart move because you want to preserve the water. But I also had really oversalted the food. I used quite a lot of salt these days, and food. And I think that sparked something within me that I had realized, would realize it only much later, because a lot of the choices that I started making was because what I want to be in this life is I want to be free. And that was something that was secretly and unknowingly always there. I was always looking for freedom, right? I tried to chill a lot, but I realized that's not freedom. I chilled a lot, and it made me, in a way, it's just boring to sit around and do nothing. To a certain degree, right? Meditation isn't really doing nothing. It's sitting straight and channeling energy. Yeah, and I realized I couldn't do that. I wasn't happy. I was very anxious. I was shy. I was a lot of these things. And hiking was always effort. I would go on hikes and then we would bring beer. Like, what's the point? You want to hike, you go hike. If you want to get drunk, get drunk. But don't go hike and bring beer. It's stupid. Sometimes we would go climbing and we would bring beer. And then we would go climbing, and in the evening we also wanted to watch a movie and drink alcohol. And then next day we got up. Yeah, we were a little hungover. Really stupid. Because if you go climbing, then why do you drink beer? And why do you watch a movie? You should have just gone sleeping. And the climbing would have been much easier the next day. You see how all these experiences that I made alone, some or with friends, where I went physically to the edge without having a phone all the time, right? We just went for a hike, and when we had a rough route, and then you have to trust your feeling. And in the beginning, I didn't know how to do that, so I had to train it. Because if you're out there alone, who's gonna save you? Nobody. Going for a one-day hike is already a challenge. You don't have to go for 3 weeks. You start small, you start practicing. I was in the position of being a student. I was studying environmental protection. So a lot of people come together that like nature. And then they like to engage with nature. And I didn't know how to do that. With my parents, we often went for walks, but they didn't really push it. They go for hikes on their own, but with children, they didn't really do that. They could have done it. But it's also hard with 3 children. You have to carry your child at a certain point, and that's hard work. But you can still do that if you want to, right? You can hike with a child. It's not an excuse. And if you can't manage, then you're weak. Because what do the people that we call, indigenous, or, the people of the third world, what do? They carry their child around the whole day. It's just something you can get used to. It's just building up strength. You have to learn how to hold yourself, what posture is good for you. Wow. And it's an honorable job to carry a child, because this child carries the hope for the next generation. So you should be proud to carry your child and not see it as a burden. Yeah, when the child is old enough, the child walks on its own, but until then you carry it. That's just how it is. You don't need a wagon to put it in. Your child wants to be next to you, close to you. The child wants contact. It doesn't want to lay in some kind of wagon a meter away from you so that you can look at your phone. No. Your child wants to be right where you are, in your arms, because you're supposed to protect it. You're supposed to keep it close and pay attention so that it can grab your face, right? Whee! And walk together. So it also gets used to, oh yeah, my father is an active person. It doesn't get, it's so stupid what people are doing here in the Western world. Yeah, in this civilized place where we learn to sit on the couch instead of being active. And that, of course, brings me to Hollywood, right? I don't really have to talk to you a lot about hiking because I've done my hiking. And the stories about my hikes are buried in my work. So I don't have to keep repeating myself, because that's also incredibly boring for me, and that makes me angry. Yeah, it makes me a little angry if I have to repeat myself all over again, all the time. Alright? So the point why I'm making content is because I want to wrap up my life, right? And show you what the lesson is. I grew up in the same place you all grew up. I was screwed over, just like everybody else. Made believe that, Yeah, if I do what I'm told, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I stopped doing that. I just followed my own path. You know, I went to study environmental protection, and when people thought that, oh wow, now he's, now he knows what to do, he's gonna be an engineer. Yeah, I became an engineer of my own life. And I used what they told me and applied it to life itself. And I looked at what they said environmental protection is, and I said, that's bullshit. And so when an actor like Leonardo DiCaprio flies around the planet making a documentary after the flood, or I don't know how he called that, I don't have to think about it. I know that he only does this so that he's like, oh, look at what he does for nature. Yeah? Do you know how much trash the movie industry creates? I've talked about this already, but I have to talk about it again. First of all, the kind of trash that we put into the minds of people. The kind of ideals. I mean, I'm just gonna name some people. Keanu Reeves, I just watched a documentary, I zapped through it. And they say like, oh yeah, he's very mysterious, very mysterious. To who? I look at that guy, he's an open book. I can see everything. I look at him, I see it all. I see it all. He's an open book, but people are so stupid, they just look at the face. Oh, what a handsome guy. He's so mysterious. Yeah, because he barely talks. And he keeps everything, he doesn't really show his emotions. You see him in an interview, what does he do? Oh yeah, thank you, oh yeah, And then you see the kind of movies he's playing in, and the kind of stuff he says. Oh, this is a pencil, It's a sharp object, you can hurt people with that. I mean, don't you get that? His wife died. He's very angry. And people look at him, oh, he has long hair, he's got a beard, oh, what a nice guy, oh yeah, he's so mysterious. No, he's not. He just says it all the time. He just shows exactly who he is. That's actually more like it. He's quite an honest guy. He makes a movie how he feels like. He doesn't feel like making a movie, he doesn't make it. Okay, there's all kinds of different actors. Sure. So now he makes angry movies. So he uses the movie industry to transform his anger into really violent movies. And he's an idol for our children. This is what our children are watching, man. John Wick. The angry guy on a rampage who kills people with a pencil. That's their role model. Keanu Reeves, the guy from Matrix. Wow. Yeah, Matrix, where you just kill people because they're unreal. Where you can just shoot people because they're not real. Do you realize that there's people in this world that see this life as a matrix? They go around and then they say there's agents and stuff. I've been in that world. I've dived into it. They're really crazy, these people. They really think that if they go out on the streets, they're so paranoid, they're so suspicious of everyone. They think they are agents of the system. They think there are some people here that are just hollow on the inside. They're basically, how do you call that? A statist. It's not an actor. It's like, to them it's just like software. They really think they live in the Matrix. And I have a book from one guy, right? It's about dissociation, and it's like really crazy what these people talk about. I mean, the general idea of dissociation, what they call dissociation, what is it called? No, it's actually called disassociation. That's just meditation. It's just meditation. And they just give it another word, and then they say, but the principle that, the philosophy where meditation comes from also says we're all one. We feel as one. So, I pay attention to myself. I pay attention to how I treat people. And I treat living beings with respect. I don't go around and chop chop animals in half, or, you know, just kill bees for fun, or, you know, just get rid of them because they annoy me. I don't do these things. That's the philosophy, because I meditate and I'm in peace. We are all in pieces. You know, we are all mad. We are all angry, and we let it out on each other. And then we've got movies. And movies are for people to let out their anger and to be the guy they want to be. But the movie can never get you that, because it's a lie. You think you're that guy that single-handedly took out an army, like Sylvester Stallone. No, man. You're not that guy. You're just acting. It's a lie. Because you didn't take out an army single-handedly. That's just ego. That's just like, oh wow, you know, I'm super strong. Bam, I could do this. Yeah, but you didn't. You wrote a story about it. You didn't actually do that. You did nothing of that. You've ever seen Christian Bale acting? He's a prick, man. He's a complete asshole because he gets what he wants all the time. I'm Christian Bale. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Well, ever been alone in the forest, my friend? No. Because you're an actor. So you need people to carry your shit. You need people to powder your face, to hide your pimples. That's who you are. You need the disguise to walk around like this. Yeah. I didn't even watch that last movie he made. You know, sometimes I watch movies, but only movies that to me are worth watching, that carry a message. You know, live life, get strong, love each other, open up, choose truth, right? It's a choice. It's an active choice to choose truth. Movies are lies. And it starts with the people, you know, that stand in front of the camera and that act and that say the things that other people tell them to say. They get a script. This is what you have to do, exactly when you have to do it. And this is what you have to say. And this is even the expression you need to show. You don't feel any of that. You know, in times when we still had theater, right? When theater was going on. There are movies, you know, like Fiddler on the Roof. Wow. Wow, what a movie. I think it's from '63 or something. Fiddler on the Roof. If I was a rich man. You can feel how these people, that's more like theater, you know, they act with love. They love to express this. There's so much love in there. There's no... It's a very good movie. It teaches you a lot of the basic things about being a human, about surviving hardship. And the man really lives that. He is that. You know, he didn't train extra hard to have the muscles to then be able to present that. No, man. Why do we have to take actors and fit them to the role? Well, the question is not why do we take actors and fit them to the role, is why do actors work extra hard to pretend to be something that they're not? Because they hate what they are. They hate themselves so much on the inside. They're super insecure. So they are ready to give up everything to please the people, you know, to get praised. Oh, Leonardo, you gained weight for this role. Oh, what a good job. I mean, do you know what Christian Bale did? They said, you know, he was acting for Batman. A lot of weight. And I think in the next movie, maybe it was The Mechanic, right? Is it called like that? Where he was really thin, where he plays a guy who's has insomnia, and then where he's like super thin. What does that teach our children? get buff, lose weight, get buff, lose weight. It's like, what? I mean, we're just watching the same people acting all the time. And you're still wondering why your children are all walking around like this, making selfies all the time? Because Hollywood is fake. We say it's the dream factory. It's not the dream factory. Because it doesn't make dreams come true. You know, it creates lies. And a dream might be a lie, you know, while I have dreams that show me the truth. If I have a nightmare, it shows me that I have work to do. You know, there's things scaring me, so I have to work with my fear. I'm all alone in this. There's no set of people that make sure I have a blanket. There's nobody. There's just me and myself, and now I know how to work with that. And that to me is the beautiful thing. I would hate being an actor. It's so dishonest. And the point I was making with theater, you know, there was a time, sometimes you see these movies, these old movies, where people are still acting like it was theater. And how does that differ? Well, when you see actors today, you know, they take themselves ever so seriously. They're like, I'm Iron Man, I'm the smartest man, right? And they have to be that for the role, right? They have to really look like, you know, because they're not that. They're not the guy who was in war or something and then injured and then fixed their and then, wow, have a suit. They're not this guy. That's just Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, and if he's not acting, he's eating, taking shits, working out to stay in shape and look handsome and have his beard trimmed really nicely and have his eyebrows plucked and, you know, his hair dyed so that the gray doesn't show, or maybe he likes that the gray shows. A bit like Doctor Strange, you know, like, wow, I age really well. Yeah. Good job, man. You age really well. Yeah. They've all got surgery done, man. Because they want to preserve how they look. They all look used to me. That's the reality of Hollywood. They're being used up by the industry because they're vulnerable children that got trapped into this kind of world. I mean, that's the equivalent of a blowjob that gets you hooked to women and has you run after them all your life. That's what Hollywood is. They give you a blowjob and then they fuck you in the ass. Right? They first give you something, a feeling, and then they keep taking. You don't even realize it's happening. I mean, they take children. How many children have we seen as actors, and we see them and we love them and like, so funny, you know, so nice. And then what happens to them? Many of them just lay on the side of the road because they couldn't deal with the pressure. They couldn't deal with any of that. Those were children, man. Those were children that had to go through such a thing. Like Home Alone. You know, you just hear these stories that his parents tried to take all the money from him. Look how greedy they get. I mean, sure, a child shouldn't even have that much money. And why did he have that much money? Because somebody wanted to make a movie about a kid that lives at home and is alone. He lives at home, right? Who's been left over Christmas, then he has to fight burglars. And then he's looking for a child, you know, that can be very happy and charismatic. You know, he looks for that spark in the child. And then he's exploiting that. And why did he want to make that movie in the first place? Well, either because he thought, I can make a lot of money with this idea. or he's trying to transform his own childhood trauma. Because where do ideas come from? From inside of us. Keanu Reeves now makes only angry movies. What does that tell you? He's very angry. Because if he wouldn't be, he would make other movies. And he's willing to use all kinds of actors to live out his violent thoughts on the screen. Instead of going within, connecting with his center, opening his heart, and realizing what the world needs is actually love and peace. Right? You can feel powerful in a movie. You can like take a pencil out, rah! Yeah, and it's just an act. You get out of this, nothing happened. No, you don't have to feel ashamed. You just feel powerful. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, you see Bruce Lee doing that. You believe that he actually like, but he didn't do it. He didn't have to hit you, right? And Keanu Reeves, whatever John Wick does, which is a character, it's a lie, it's a fabrication, it's a fantasy. Keanu Reeves never has to take a pencil and thrust it into other people's face. He maybe thinks he would like to do that. And then he goes and lives it out in his movies. That guy needs a lot of healing. But he's probably not gonna get that. Why? Because he could have gotten it already. Right? I mean, they taught him, right? In the Matrix movies? That guy, Neo, right? Thomas Anderson. He learned about meditation and physical exercise and all these things. He learned about that, right? I mean, that should have taught him something. You know where I'm going with this? It was just an act. The experience doesn't stick because every actor knows it's a lie. And that's why when you see, for example, Tom Hanks, he was acting in the movie Cast Away. Very good movie. Yeah, very convincing performance. Stranded on an island, grew a beard, got really tanned. Made fire. I made fire. Look what I created. Yeah, with what? With nature. You didn't create that. Nature helped you to have fire, right? You just connected the dots. But the string was already there. You just didn't see it. You thought it was dots that were randomly scattered. And then you realize, oh wow, they connect into a string. Well, if you have 1,000,000 dots, yeah, you might as well have a string. And so what happened? You know, he acts in that movie. And he has this, you know, they show him this great realization how the character is in the end standing in front of that buffet. And it means nothing to him anymore. Because he has overcome, you know, all these things. He has survived alone on an island. And then he got back to the real world. And then he realizes, I'll just live my life. But for the actor Tom Hanks, it means nothing. Oh yeah, I did that. Yeah, it was a really good performance. But it was an act. It was a lie. It was a hoax. And what happens in the end? You know, he's still that guy looking for life. You know, he's still trapped. He's still looking out the window for life. It's like, oh, yeah, just wait for the next role. Sure, that's his life then. That's his life, an actor. It's okay, right? That's your life. Then that's your life. But we think that these things that we see in movies, you know, we feel like they're real, but they're not. And that teaches us something, right? So we're looking for this, but because all the people that that show us this in movies, they're all lying about it, and you know it. Deep down, everybody knows it. It's a lie. Tom Hanks knows it's a lie. That's why he got obese when he got older. It's like one role he's fat and then he's thin. It's like, who are you, man? Are you fat or are you thin? Well, who you are is an actor. So you lie, you pretend. And you do this for the rest of your life. Cheers, man. You're going to keep going to Hollywood to get a pat on the shoulder for your best performance. I'd rather be honest. But I also want to say, these are children. These are children. And once they got hooked on this kind of attention, why do parents allow their child to even audition for movies? Because they want a piece of the glory. They couldn't do it. Oh, maybe my child. There's parents that carry their children to Hollywood. There's parents that want their children to do this because they just want a piece of the glory. Oh yeah, if my child's an actor, how that would reflect on me? Well, very badly. Because you expose your child, a vulnerable child, to a herd of greedy people that will suck your child dry until nothing is left. Just shows you're very ignorant. Very ignorant. So yeah, I can sit here and act like but Hollywood is doing that already. On the back of children, on the back of humans, on the back of the idea of freedom. Because how can you be free if somebody's telling you what to do all the time? It's not free. And the way acting used to be was you learned the words and then you performed them and you did so with a smile, or you could always see the hint of a smile. There was always this kind of secret joke that everybody knew. This is an act, this is a performance, right? We have a script and we talk about it, but it's kind of loose, right? I have a range, I'm still myself in here. I'm just saying, hey, let's do this together. There's this kind of silliness about how movies used to be. They didn't take themselves so full, they didn't take themselves so seriously. And they didn't try to pretend to be real. It was more the beauty of performance. While still knowing this is a performance, right? An expression, a form to express something. And the only thing that movies these days express is greed. And we're all liars. And we want to see lies because that's how we feel safe in the lie. But from that, you also can learn a lot. There's a lot of truth in movies because they come from the same place that we all grew up in together. And that's why the people, they do make their realizations and they make movies from that. But at what cost? Because we never look at all the trash that comes from Hollywood. Physical trash. Not just emotional trash in the form of people. Physical trash. I said it already, I know that. But it's important to repeat these things. Hollywood doesn't care about this. They just care for the glory. So I don't give a crap if Leonardo DiCaprio makes a documentary about nature. And if he gives a bit of his money to help elephants. He's just doing that to have more glory, right? To be like, oh yeah, that's Leonardo DiCaprio. He's also very involved in nature conservation. Yeah? Have you ever been to a cinema? Have you ever seen all these posters hanging around advertising his next movie? What do you think happens to these things after the movie stopped in the cinemas? Well, they're all going to waste. What do you think? How many posters have been created from the nature that he pretends to help preserve or conserve? You know, it's like being a priest that rapes children when nobody's looking, and then he goes around and feeds them soup. I mean, with the one hand, you're screwing the planet because you want to have glory, and on the other hand, you're making documentaries. That's like greenwashing, isn't it? I mean, you're just greenwashing. What you're doing is greenwashing. You know, this is what large, like, patrol organizations do. They screw the planet, and then they make, they fund little projects where they channel some of their money into, how they call something with Earth. Doesn't matter. They channel their money into some kind of organization that makes them look a bit better. Oh yeah, they do conservation. Oh yeah, really nice. Yeah. And they fund that with the money that they use to screw the Earth. They got from screwing the Earth and making this place toxic. Because you supply all the petrol. That's where you make money with. We breathe that. It's very toxic. It makes us lazy. It's a bad form of transportation. But that's how the system is running, right? It doesn't care. So Hollywood, yeah, one cinema. Let's say one cinema, one movie, 20 posters. All paper, had to be printed, layered with I don't know what kind of materials they used to make them look shiny, all kind of toxic stuff. One movie, 20 posters, a couple of weeks in the cinema. Trash. Afterwards, this is junk. One movie, one cinema, 20 posters. Now you can extrapolate. Yeah, how many cinemas are there in Germany? Maybe we can just do the math real quick. Just a sec. Wow. Okay. I didn't find Germany, I found the UK. I just wanted to do a quick search. In the UK, 800 cinemas. Now for one movie that's running for a couple of weeks, you've got 800 cinemas. And let's say one movie has 20 posters. Yeah? 20 posters, 800 cinemas, only in the UK. It's a very small country. 800 cinemas. Now I have to do the math. 800 times 2 is 1,600, and add a 0, it's like 16,000 posters, roughly, right? This is just like extra, I don't have to, it's an estimate. It's just to have a general idea. One movie that's running for a couple of weeks is creating 16,000 posters. Give or take, right? So we can say, okay, for the sake of the argument, just say it's 15,000 posters for one movie that's running for a couple of weeks in the cinema. And it doesn't matter if the movie will be successful or not, because, they make the movie because they hope it's gonna be a hit. That's why they keep producing movies, they hope it's gonna be a hit, right? One after the other, like bam, 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 bam. It's an industry, has to keep going. Right? Has to keep rolling so that it can look flashy and so that people will still remember that Hollywood exists, right? And now imagine it's like one country, it's UK, that had in 2021 800 cinemas. Sure, numbers are probably declining, but it doesn't matter because these things are still happening. There's a cinema here in this city Lüdenscheid. It's basically out of business. There's not a lot of stuff happening there anymore. But they get all these posters. That just comes with the package, right? You have a cinema, you present a movie. Here, take this, take this. You know, it's like advertisement. Probably, you know, they can just scratch it off the tax list because it's to promote your business or something. And they had, you know, I was working there for a couple of weeks. Shit tons of trash went out of that place. Just stuff. Okay. Posters, mostly posters, because the posters come in paper packaging, paper wrappings. Sometimes people come and they say, hey, can I buy this poster? This is it. It almost never happens. You know, that's just some few of the geeks or something. The rest is just like trash, trash, trash. Yeah. Then all the food is in paper or plastic containers, you know. It's being shipped there. There's a lot of trash, believe me. I've worked there. And the food itself is already trash. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs to eat nachos with cheese sauce. Nobody needs to eat ice cream. I mean, there was this young kid. He came out of the cinema and I just came from cleaning the toilets. And he just started puking. That's when I stopped working there. That was the moment where I just couldn't look away anymore. I already had my thoughts beforehand, but I thought, you know what? You know, I'm earning a bit of money, I'm standing here, you know, I'm putting up a smile. Yeah. Putting up a smile and, you know, people are going to be happy. Oh yeah? You know, if I'm doing a good job, working in the service of cinema, selling junk food to people with a smile, you know? I put all my energy into that, all my love, all my emotions, you know, oh yeah, compassion. Yeah, you know what that's gonna do? That's gonna keep them coming there. Oh yeah, remember that guy, he was nice. Yeah. And now you come here and you eat shit. You give me money, I give you poison. That's what it is. And that's when I realized, you know, the last straw was the boy that vomited. And I remember I went upstairs because it happened downstairs. I went upstairs to get some stuff, to clean this stuff. And I started to get a bit loud about it. To all my colleagues, it's like, what the fuck are we even doing here? We're working in this shit show. Why are we selling this junk to children? They shouldn't eat this. And I stand here with a smile and say, hey, eat it. They were like, oh, he's crazy now. No, I was just speaking the truth. I was speaking from my heart because that's what was happening. Bullshit was what was happening. And after that day, I was standing behind the cashier, and my boss was a real jerk as well. He just wanted to sell food, right? He just wanted to sell food. So if I didn't like rush to the till to sell something, he was on my back. Come here, he would say. I would just ignore him. If you want to speak with me, you come and say, you humble yourself to treat me the way that I want to be treated, because I treat you with the same respect. But you don't respect me. He's just like, come here, come here. You there, I have a name, sir. You want me to earn money? For you, I'm earning money. Yeah. I'm earning money here, right? For you. And then you say, come here, come here. So I ignored him and he got angry about that. Yeah, and then at one point I just went to him and said, yeah? When I call, you have to come. I said, yeah, if you do so with respect, then I'll do it. But you also told me, you know, if there's a customer, that's the priority. Yeah, but if I call, I'm more important. More important than who? More important than my dignity? My belief in humanity or something? That we can do better? I don't think so, sir. He didn't like that. He couldn't control me. So it happened, you know, I was realizing I got more and more angry. I got more and more angry working at that job. I hated it. I just wanted to destroy this whole thing. And I started telling people, right? They came, people would buy iced tea, right? Lipton iced tea or Fuse tea for children. And I looked at the ingredients. I always look at the ingredients, always. Everything I eat, even if I don't eat it, I check the ingredients. You know what I said? When parents were buying Fuse tea for their children, I said, you do realize there's like black tea concentrate in there. It's like giving your child an espresso. Plus all the sugar. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Once in a while you can have that. You know why they say that? Because they're afraid to deny this to the child. Because if the child doesn't get what it wants, it starts throwing a tantrum. Well, you've created this child because you kept giving it its will. You know, a child will start manipulating you. It's having you run around on a leash because you're afraid that your child will throw a tantrum. Your child controls you. Good job, man. I had it once. From all the parents that I told that there's black tea concentrate in the Fuse tea, I had one grandma, one, of let's say 30 people, one grandma that said to the child, okay, no. And then the child threw a tantrum and the grandma said no. She was great. Because we have to protect our children, don't you get that? You feed your child sugar all the time, you know what's gonna happen. The child can't deal with it. And as an adult, it will be addicted to feeling like this. It's just a state of confusion, but you start identifying with that, and that's where disassociation comes in. You have to learn to disassociate, to distance yourself from that. And that's a major challenge. I remember two boys standing in front of me, really obese. They were standing there and like grins on their face, I have nachos and 1 liter of Coke. You know, sometimes people said that just to be cool. They just wanted 1 liter of Coke because it's just the biggest thing you can get, like, yeah, I drank that. And then his friends will say, whoa, awesome, man. I mean, how can you drink that much? Well, it's just stupid. Like, it's not cool to boast about how much you can eat, man. And so what happened? I had these kids standing in front of me. Maybe 14, really obese, man. And they came there with a smile on their face because, you know, they knew, I'm just gonna stuff myself and then I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna watch a movie. And because, I mean, you don't go to the cinema if you're a happy person. If you lead a fulfilled life, you don't eat popcorn. You don't drink Coke. You don't do any of that because what you're gonna realize if you would be happy and whole, right? And it's like, wow, I feel so good. If you would drink Coke, you would think, bleh, what is this? If you would give Coke to a person living in the Amazon, they would say, what the fuck, man? What is this shit? Give me something natural. I think so, right? But they're also not, you know, might be that they're like, whoa. But when you're in nature, you don't walk around like, because that's what happens. You're like in a frenzy when you eat sugar. It riles you up. No, in nature you have to be calm and relaxed. Because if you walk around like an agitated asshole, nature will swallow you up whole. Because you don't pay attention anymore. Your mind is racing everywhere. And that's the people you see driving around in cars. Super angry all the time, drinking coffee. Blah. Man. Anyway, these children were standing in front of me and I started saying these things to them. I mean, to everyone that I felt like somehow deserved the truth. And I said to them, hey, I just want to say this to you, and it's very hard to bring this message across in a way that doesn't just hurt them. Because I don't see, you fat piece of shit. That's not how I see them. I think, man, there's a child inside of you. Why do you need all that stuffing for? Yeah, because the child got used to being fed when it wanted love. It wanted attention. But people have nothing to give here. Because they're empty, you know. Everybody's living their own version of Hollywood. Because what is Hollywood is just the industry. You work for the industry, it's gonna suck you dry. The state is gonna suck you dry. They don't care. They're gonna suck you dry because this society is a spider. And it injects its poison to keep you immobile, and then it's gonna suck you dry. Yeah? The poison is you sitting on the couch. The poison was injected when you were a child and you wanted to be happy, and your teacher came and said, sit down on that chair. And from that day on, you only had bad grades. That's the poison, my friend. That's the poison. They injected it right into you. Bam. And then you did everything. Oh, please, don't reject me. Don't reject me. I'll do anything. No, you don't say that. You don't know you're saying it, but you're saying it all the time. You're saying it by, walking around like this. Oh yeah. You say it by smoking. I just want to be cool, please, just like me. I mean, people said it was cool to smoke and now it's unhealthy. What am I supposed to do? Oh, I'll drink a liter of Coke, please love me for that. That's what we do. Please love me because I eat your food. Your mother makes cake. You don't want to eat cake anymore. You want to get off that. You want to stop eating meat. And then you're somewhere and your family's there, and what do? When your mother says, do you want a piece of cake? And she doesn't just say that. What she says is, that's like the stuff that reverberates with the words that they give us. The words are just shit. The words are turds, my friend. The real meaning is beneath that. That's what you hear when you start listening. When you start opening your ears and your eyes. And you start to learn to pick up what people are really saying. Because what your mother is saying is, if you eat my cake, I'm gonna love you. I've tried. I've done these things. By now my family got used to it. They came to me. Would you like a piece of cake? And you say, no. Okay, then not. You know how this is. Somebody comes, makes you a present, you say, I don't want it. I'm just gonna say, I had my sister. Who likes giving presents to people for Christmas? Who likes giving presents to people for birthdays, right? She comes and gives you a present. If you don't accept it, she hates you, yeah? And I started in the end, right, that was last Christmas, I said. Because I was in a very bad place. And I just had told them, I hate you all and I don't want to see you ever again. I'm disappointed in you all, right? I opened up to you. I told my parents at the age of 33 that I had suicidal thoughts, and my sister came and said I was selfish. Just think about it. The shit that I'm going through, I have been going through. I don't hate them. I just realized who they are. I just woke up to this. Man, I've been praising my family all along. Sure, thank you for giving me the space where I can do all this stuff. But things started to become a little bit different. I just say, you know, I'm just gonna do my own thing. I'm not gonna feel responsible for you anymore. Because I've tried telling you what's going wrong in your life all my life. I've tried telling you all the time. Too much alcohol, you know, you should just stop eating meat, right? They don't listen, they don't want to listen. You know, they hear it and maybe at one point they're gonna make a choice, you know, but the thing is also never give up on anyone. But also let them do their own work. Let them figure it out for themselves. Sometimes you say something to them. You know, when I speak, I say words that have meaning. I don't do idle chit-chat. I don't talk about the weather. When somebody comes and says, oh yeah, the weather's really bad, then I say, well, there's no such thing as bad weather. That's just a concept that you have in your mind. So you either work on that or you walk around and 75% of your life is going to be miserable. Because either the weather's bad or it's not like the weather forecast told you it's going to be. So it's just stupid to talk about weather in general because everybody can see the way the weather is. And you either adapt to it, right? Or you run away from it. You let it, you know, if you let the weather decide whether or not you're going to leave the house, yeah, then good luck, man. Because then you get so used to sitting at home that you don't even know how to leave the house anymore and go hiking. Also, if you wait for people to tell you, I mean, I'm telling you go to nature. But I also say, you know, it's your own responsibility. If something happens, you know, deal with it. Don't be a pussy about it. So the point is, you know, I was telling, that was last year in December. You know, Christmas. Yeah, not last year, the year before that. So 2021, at the end of it. You know, I was in a very bad place. I just came from Amsterdam. I was thrown onto the streets and I came back to my parents and I just crashed and I fell into a very deep hole and I shouted at them all and I said, I hate you all. That was the place I was in. That were the emotions I had to see. I had to look at how much I hated them all. But I also loved them, right? It's like I walked through hate to get to love. But in a different way. Not like I used to, not like, I love you all, but more like, yeah, it's alright, you know. Yeah, it's more like that. And then I said, because they asked me, what about presents, right? And I said, well, you can just put them in front of my room and I'm gonna get them when I want them. Because I just wanted to be in silence, right? You know, I needed that kind of, you know, I needed this for myself. But what I didn't want, you know, I just couldn't take that anymore. Just sit there at Christmas, you know, somebody wants to give you a present. You know why they want to give you that? So that they can look at you and feel your pleasure when you're unpacking it. So you just pretend you like what you get. You know, some people, they just give you presents so that they can gloat off, like leech off of your happiness. That's what parents do with their children, why they give them presents all the time. Because they have no love to give. Because they never learned to love. Love is hard, man. Love is something you have to learn. It takes a lot of practice to open up and to love, right? And to radiate love. To maintain that, you have to keep your shit together. You have to collect your parts. Solve your puzzle, right? You don't get that from acting and pretending. So what happens? You know, she said to me later, I can't do this anymore, you know, to put her presents in front of my room. I can't do this anymore. So I first ordered you something, but then I gave it back. Yeah, because all the time she was giving me presents, it was a lie. She was giving presents to herself. She was treating herself to my smile. And I was the victim. I was giving her the smile. And that's what actors do, right? They go to movies, they treat themselves to your fake smile. You know, it's like what they say about Tom Cruise. His charming smile, oh yeah. Everybody knows he's with Scientology. You know that they do kind of weird shit. But because he has that smile, it's like everything's forgotten. So yeah, I've seen my sister treating me like a real donkey all my life. No thank you. I've seen you now, and I know that this is how you are. And I don't see you changing that. For whatever reason. Yeah, I can say, yeah, she had a rough childhood. She had this, she had that. But in the end, this is how she chooses to be. I've told her many times you can change. If she doesn't want it, then this is her character. I had basically the same life she had, but I made different choices. So I'm different. So if I see somebody that works for Hollywood and then pretends to save the planet, what is that? It's a liar. It's a phony person. Because it's their choice. Yeah, I just happen to be a good actor. You could do other things. There's porn actresses that get their shit together and then they say, I'm gonna speak up about porn. I'm gonna make movies and I'm gonna tell the people how full of shit it is. You could do that, but they don't do it. They just keep acting. You hear people like, I don't want to pick on them because they're in a very bad place, right? They need all these people to hold themselves together, so you also have to have a little bit of compassion and empathy for them, right? You see how far hate gets you. At one point, you either keep hating or you start, I'm just gonna love it. But it's important that you know that this whole is a shit show. And these two kids were standing in front of me and they were really obese, and I said to them, I'm telling you this because nobody's going to tell you that. But this food is really unhealthy. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward if somebody tells you that. The person who's selling it to you, right? And so I quit. I just stopped going there. And then they said I should have said something. I said, well, I did, right? I stopped showing up. I mean, that's as plain as I can make it for you. What words could explain why I don't come anymore? I mean, I just showed you my middle finger. Fuck you. I don't like this shit. So I'm done coming. You see, I'm a man of action. I show you what I mean. Right? This is who I am. Children cry when they see me. I don't know why. Not all children, but some children cry. There's children that are already, they don't know how to work with fear. They're basically cowards. And there's children that come and say, hey, who are you? I can't help that. I'm my own person. And I tried being somebody that gets liked by a lot of people, but I'm done with that. Because it doesn't work. It never worked. If you want to be true to yourself, you have to be true. You have to show it all. You have to show it all. I've seen madness. I live madness. And that's what I vibrate, right? So there's a child and I do like this. The child starts crying. Is that, can I help that? I see a child and this, the child starts crying. Is that bad? I mean, shouldn't the child be used to people being like this? The child starts crying. Why? Because everybody the child knows is a pretender. They walk around like this. The child is being raised into fear. That's how it is. So I get it, right? As a young kid, you want to start acting. You want to start pretending. You want to get into the movie business because they all look so happy, and then you get there, and as a child, it's really a lot of fun. But keep pretending all your life, man, it's a hack job. So rather put in the work and learn to be true. So if I do this because I feel like this, the child starts crying and I feel like I'm evil. Why? the child just has to get used to it, that some people are a bit like intimidating. But what is intimidating the child is that I'm, how do you call that word? I'm unpredictable to a certain degree. You know, to somebody who clutches, you know, all these rules and expectations and stuff, you know, because I tell you, people live in a world of fear. This is their whole reality. Everything's scary. And I say everything's full of possibilities. Wow! I mean, I can only go for a walk in the rain when it's raining, right? It's a possibility. You know, I can take that possibility, or I say, nah, I'd rather stay inside and practice my yoga. Because that's the phase I'm living in right now. You know, I have severe neck pain, I have really so much tightness in here, and right now I'm working that out of myself. So I don't go hiking because I don't need to put more works into my legs. I mean, I can jump really high. I can jump really high. I have so much strength in my legs. I'm just standing the whole day. So I don't need to work on my legs anymore. They're really strong. I've done that work. You know, I've done a lot of hiking. You know, physical, I have a lot of strength. What I'm working on is my lower back, is my shoulders and my neck. And so I have to sit with that, feel the pain constantly. You know, my whole shoulders are aching. So I'm working on it. You know, I want to get into that yoga. So I don't go out on Friday nights dancing and spending time with people who just want to have a good time. Because that's not my idea of a good time. My idea of a good time is, let's build something together that has a foundation. Let's learn to lift up the energy, right? You know, let's engage with each other. Let's do something real. Let's be true. Let's be honest. If I scare you, that's your problem. I mean, I had police officers that shat their pants in my presence because you can feel that. But what I feel is they're in a state of fear, and I used to be in there as well. I used to be afraid of a lot of things, but I faced these fears on my own. On my own. Although I was never alone. I always had the feeling, you know, something was watching over me. I don't know what that is. You talk about God. I can't imagine God being, you know, that person that lives in the sky and watches over us. But something is happening. I cannot explain this. It's a feeling that I have. You know, sometimes I was doing my thing. My feeling told me, drive to a lake at 10 at night. I knew I had to do it. I drove there and it was dark. It was 1 degree Celsius and I knew I have to go swimming tonight. And inside I was dying. I was like so afraid. I just walked like this in the dark and I was alone. And I walked about 20 minutes to get to the place where I would then swim. And I literally had the feeling there were hands pushing me. What is that? There were hands pushing me. I went in there and I died that night. Seriously. I went into the lake, I stood there was mist. You know, the moon was out, there was mist. I took off my clothes, I went to the water. I stayed for, I don't know, maximum a minute. And I went out and my whole body started to ache in such agony. My feet were feeling like somebody was hammering them. This is how healing feels like, my friend. Because in order to heal, right, you will feel how in pain you are. This is what I feel right now. My whole body's aching. because I'm stretching it out, right? It's a bit like torture. So I say, you know, stretching is first pain and then bliss. You have to go through the pain. You have to go through the suffering. A 4-day hike, incredible amount of suffering. And there were many more such hikes. Never alone again until now. Yes, sometimes, but mostly with other people. Many hikes. And now I'm hiking myself, right? I'm hiking up the mountain of myself. Because that's the phase I'm in right now. And I'm very serious about this. So I'm climbing all the time. I'm running. I'm just running. Like Forrest Gump did. Only I'm running in myself. Because I want to leave all this shit behind me. But for that, I first have to pass it. I have to climb over it. Right? It's like jumping over hurdles all the time. Emotional hurdles. Whoosh, whoosh. And I get further and further and further ahead of the journey. Yeah. Facing your demons, you know, that kind of stuff. And one of them was seriously the movie industry. It has opened my eyes to movies. I do look at them differently. Sometimes I still watch them, but I realized it's just a bunch of bullshit. The reason I was watching movies was that I wanted love. And I have been trained as a child already. You know, I could spend time with my parents when we were watching movies. And then I could eat chips. You know, that was my happy times as a child, watching movies with my parents. Yeah, no wonder. You know, that was the times when I could relax, when I was playing video games. But now I think it's just a waste of time. I don't want to escape no more. I don't want to escape into movies. You know, sometimes, yeah, sure. I'll watch one once in a while. If something, you know, if I feel like I'm in a very bad place and I just need to relax a bit. But it's better to relax into a deep stretch, yeah? Because what do you get? You know, now I realize, you know, how I was sitting for months, for years on the couch, on the sofa, here on the ground, watching movies. No wonder my body is in a bad shape. No wonder I have all these issues with my neck. I mean, people sleep on pillows. You're constantly sleeping like this. So yeah, that's how my body is like. You know, that's how my posture is like. So I have to correct that. I have to work extra hard now. So I'm working that out. This is my homework. This is what I'm doing right now. And when I do like this, I'm just uploading a video. Yeah, it's still being processed. I show how I stretch like this. Wow. I mean, it's incredible how tight this is. You know, if this is tight, what does that mean? It pulls me down like this. Why does it pull me down? Because I've been walking like this all my life. You know, it's like being rigid. They can't see me here. No, does somebody want to hit me again? Does somebody want to shame me again? Hurt me again? But now it's time to say, never again, my friend. And that's why, you know, just make up your own mind. Just realize people who make money are interested in making money. They don't care about life, they care about money, because money gives them value. And so the industry cares about money, and they don't care about life. They care about money. To them, money is more important than life. But when there's no life, then what good is money? But if there's no money, then, you know, life is good. So we are now in the transitional phase, and that means that right now there is money, so we have to use money to help life. You know, you use what you have available, right? To bring us to the next stage, which is We work through our fear now, we get strong, and we bring the baby back to nature. Yeah, we bring the baby back to nature, and that means you first have to bring yourself back to nature, because there's this little child inside of you that really wants to connect with her. If you don't understand why nature is a woman, then do your homework. Practice, learn, right? You can read my content, you can read my books. You know, they are basically designed to take you unawares. So you work through that, it's a hell of a ride. I say my books are an experience, and they give you a lot of homework. They show you where you're clinging, where your mind is blocked from seeing what I'm seeing. So you either accept it, or you suffocate in it.